Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talking Tech with Creatives podcast. I'm Stella Oni. I know you've met me before, but some of you might be meeting me just for the first time. And Talking Tech with Creative podcast is all about talking about creativity and technology and looking at the intersection. It's quite exciting. We've had a few episodes, some exciting guests have been. And yeah, if you haven't listened to me before, I'll say go and listen to the back episodes. There are quite a few people, and you'll see some, you get take some nuggets away. We covered finance, we've covered law, I think we've covered finance, law, publishing, different aspects, and there's so many more that we're going to be doing. As some of you who have listened to me would know, I'm an author. I'm a crime fiction. I actually write crime fiction, and I also write about food, most especially Nigerian food. And I love technology, and I just thought there was this connection between creativity and technology, and that it's worth exploring. And that's how Talking Tech with Creatives podcast came into being. Now, wherever you're listening, I will say please follow, review. This is going to go on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to it. A very new channel. So your subscription will be subscribing to it would really help me to continue this exciting podcast. Also, a little plug. One of my short stories appear in this anthology called Festive Mayhem 4. So I've got a short story there set in Nigeria, and it's about a food seller, but it's mystery, and a mystery. When you have crime mystery, there's always a death in there somewhere. So this is out on any platform, anywhere you have retailers, you can get a copy. Now, I want to talk about who we have today. I've got a guest today from the film world who has quite a story to tell. In fact, we had actually started talking before recording, and I just thought to myself, we don't want you to lose out on anything he has to say. So that's why we started recording. His name is Tony Abulu, and he's president. I'm going to just introduce him quickly, and then he's going to tell us more about himself. So Tony is the president and CEO of Black Ivory Communications, a media firm. I'm going to be looking this way because I've got my screen on there as well. So with 30 years plus experience in film production, entertainment, publishing, international marketing, and African tourism development. He's the president of Filmmakers Association of Nigeria, USA. He's actually based in the USA, and he's got that exciting mix of filming Nigerian films, filming in the USA, and all sorts of things there. And so he's right director, producer. He has spent many years in the USA establishing a market for African themed entertainment products, which is so we're going to hear a lot more about that. And some of the films is made all the way from 1997. He made a film called Back to Africa, American Dream, Crazy Like a Fox, Superstar in 2015, Nigeria, Dr. Bello in 2012, Spellbound in 2018, and just recently, he just released a film called American Jackpot in 2024. Now, some of you that have listened to previous episode, actually, I think we were able to say what Jackpot was in some of the episodes because I spoke to a few Nigerians, and Jackpot means it's a rough translation. You're leaving. So we had a lot of Nigerians that have actually relocated from Nigeria to different parts of the world, and we call it Jackpot. So American Jackpot. Tony is going to tell us more about that film. So Tony, welcome to the podcast. Tell us a bit more about yourself because you had some exciting story to tell.
Stella, thank you very much for having me. Um, my life is a little weird. I'm going to start by the influences in the creative side of my life. I grew up. My parents were in England from 1961 to 67. My mother and my father. So we grew up with my grandmother and my uncle. Now, my grandmother became the influence on the creative side. My uncle became the influence on the business side. because my uncle was very successful. In 1970, he owned quite a lot of planes, airplanes. He was the first Nigerian to own quite a few planes, about 4 of them. I remember when we would go to the airport, which was the Kirikiri Aerodrome then, we were the only black people that would be there. Very interesting. But yes, but my grandmother was passed now. She was a princess from the Isha stock in Edo State. And I think she grew up in the palace where she had the opportunity to be impressed with a lot of storytelling, a lot of deep storytelling. It's not like the kind of stories we tell now. My grandmother was an expert storyteller. Wow. She was the storyteller, she was the actor, she was the musician. So when she tells you a story, you are totally engrossed.
3D. She gave you 3D versions of yes.
Yeah, she would sing, and then she would captivate you with a face, expression. When she says, for instance, that the king of the gorillas in the forest, all of a sudden shows up. She would act it out. She would act out the way he walked, the sound he made, all this kind of stuff. And then she'll give you the soundtrack to the whole thing. So that's the beginning of my creativity, 5 years old. As a matter of fact, there's a story which was told by my parents that at the age of 3, because we were staying in Zaria, coming to Lagos, and by the 3rd day on that trip, I hadn't spoken for 3 days. And my grandmother was worried, my uncle was worried. But eventually, by the 3rd day, I just started singing a song. And the entire train took after my song. And the whole length of the train was singing the song. Oh, my home, when shall I see
my home?
Exactly.
When shall I see my native land? I will forget. Never forget my home.
Right. So that was the song I was singing at 5 years old. As a matter of fact, 4 years old. And the whole train picked it up. So that will give you an idea of where some of my personality, came from. Eventually, of course, I went to schools in Lagos Elementary, and then I went to secondary school, St. Filmmakers College, and then I went to Ibadan in Yoruba land. What did I say? Ibadan. In Ibadan, my plan was to be an architect because my mom came back as an architect, my father came back as an electrical engineer. So all my other brothers, siblings, became engineers. I was the odd man out. I became
you were the creative one.
Yeah, I became an artist. And then, but I didn't take it seriously.
Okay.
In secondary school in St. Filmmakers, you have 2 sections. You had what we call the technical section, those who are going to eventually become engineers, physics, chemistry, math, blah, blah, blah. And then you had what we call the grammar section, those who are going to take biology and eventually become medical doctors and so on and so forth. It was a very difficult time for me because we had a principal who was Father Slattery, who was from Ireland, and a very famous man. He lived in Nigeria till he was 90-something. And
really?
Very
what was his name? What was his name?
Reverend Father John Slattery.
Okay, so Reverend Father John Slattery from Ireland.
From Ireland. And he became so famous because he was very strict. And at the same time, he became a football coach.
Ooh.
And a national referee in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yeah, and my school therefore became the best soccer team in Nigeria. So we were known for soccer, St. Filmmakers College, right? Yeah. So now there's a very interesting story. I hope I'm not veering off too far.
No, we like listening to stories.
Okay, but it's very important. So in St. Filmmakers, when you come in, everybody's in the assembly hall, and Father Slattery will stand in front and say, all those who want to go to the technical side, go to the left. All those who want to go to the grammar side, go to the right. We were 12 years old.
Yeah.
And that at the age you made a decision, life-changing decision
Yeah.
of what you are going to become in the future.
So wow.
12 years old.
Split. Yeah.
Never discussed it with nobody. Nobody gave you an idea of anything. So guess what? When he said all those in the technical section to become engineers and stuff like that, go to the left.
Yeah.
All those who want to be in the grammar section to study biology and study medicine and literature and all that, go to the right. I ran to the right.
So you knew.
Then I thought about it for a second. I ran to the left.
Mm-hmm.
He was watching me. Everybody had settled. So when I ran to the left, which was the engineering section, after going to the grammar section and running to the left to the engineering section, I decided to run back.
Oh.
Because I actually wanted to be a medical doctor.
Really?
And he spotted me going back and forth and shouted,
You were going
"You
back.
boy!" I was going back and forth. That's why I said it's an interesting story. In Nigeria, because we didn't have any mentorship really.
No, we didn't.
So you had to make up your mind at 12, fast. And when I was trying to run back to the grammar section, he just shouted, "You boy, remain where you are."
Yeah.
In the technical section to study engineering.
Wow.
And guess what? Went on to the fourth year, which was the year before the final exam, what we call WAEC, West African School Certificate Exam.
Mm-hmm.
They told us that we had the option, we had the opportunity to pick 9 subjects. WAEC, West African School Certificate, was 8 subjects. They said you can pick 9 subjects.
Yeah.
What is the extra subject?
Oh.
Quite a few people picked additional mathematics. And I wasn't too happy. I was okay in math, but it wasn't my best subject.
Yeah.
When most people picked additional mathematics, the others just took 8 subjects. But I wanted to take 9. So I went to the arts department, the fine arts department. When I got to the fine art department, remember this is my 4th year. Our school was 5 years. I'd done first, second, third, fourth. So when I went to the art department, I told them I wanted to draw. And they started laughing. The teachers were laughing.
Meanwhile, you hadn't started
You
art.
didn't do it
So you were picking art, but you hadn't, yeah.
Yeah, I'd never done anything art. So I kept insisting, and the lecturer drove me away. I came back again the next day. He drove me away again. Because you can imagine, all the people in the art department that started art in the first year. So I was joining them in the 5th year.
Yeah.
Yeah, my final year. I'd never done any drawing before in my life. So the lecturer thought I wasn't serious. But eventually, when he saw me show up about 10 times, he now said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take you to the first year students." I was in my 5th year. "I'm going to take you to the first year students." You can imagine me at 17, 18, going to draw with 12-year-olds.
Oh, that was, yeah.
But when I did my first drawing, he screamed and automatically took me to the 5th year.
Wow, so your drawing was brilliant.
So when I did the exam, I came first.
Wow.
I came in school certificate, I got what is called A1.
Yeah.
Distinction A1.
Yeah.
In fine art. Now, let me tell you why that story is important. I never planned to study art.
Okay.
So when I remember I said I wanted to study art.
Medicine.
And architecture, you couldn't go into the university directly. You had to go and do what was called A-levels. 2 years of A-levels, and then we'll make it work. Okay, so now check this out. I went to A-levels in Ibadan to study physics, chemistry, math.
Wow.
I had relegated art. I didn't want to have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because it's because of the way people feel about art in those days. Remember? People looked down on art. People look down on art. Anything to do with it, they think you're lazy.
They think you're the laziest guy. Meanwhile, the art exams were 10 hours and 20 hours each. You had to sit on a spot for 20 hours.
Wow.
A lot of people cannot pass art class
At all.
because it takes so much patience.
Yeah.
And I didn't have patience because I'm Aries. So check this out. Physics, chemistry, math. The first year, it was 2 years. Someone, my roommate, saw my drawing and screamed. He got A2 in fine art in school, and he took my drawings to the art teachers, and the art teacher said, I would be doing Nigeria a major disservice if I didn't study art.
So you were naturally talented.
Yes, because for you to get an A1, trust me.
Yeah, because you didn't even like all the techniques and everything. You'd have thought that you didn't do all that. You were just natural.
Exactly. But my mother was an artist as well, so I saw my mother's drawings. So I had some little experience, and my mother introduced me to someone who was an illustrator who brushed me up a little bit. Long story short, I switched reluctantly to the art department. Why I'm telling you all this is because all the young people that are listening to us now, they may be going through the same thing. Their parents will never let them study art. Their parents will not like them to study acting or go into the creative industry. That's why I'm telling you this story. So that at the end of the day, when I finish my story, they will realize that what you learn is not important. What you like and what you have a talent is.
That's what is going to push you. That's the fuel. I'll push you through life because you need a fuel. As you get older, you need a fuel to keep you going. If you don't have that fuel, forget it.
Exactly. So I eventually switched to the art department, and of course got the best result in the art school. And then I used to say something in art school in Ibadan. I said, if I don't work at the biggest advertising agency in Africa, which was Lintas Limited at that time.
Yeah. They were in Lagos when they Lintas. I remember them.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. I said, if I didn't work there, I will leave Nigeria.
Wow.
So my classmates used to laugh at me. And guess what? When we graduated, all my classmates got jobs. I was the only one who didn't have a job.
Wow.
And then eventually I went for an interview in Lintas, and they were blown away. I was the youngest kid there because Lintas didn't take anybody directly. You will work for 20 years in an ad agency and then they will invite you to interview. But I came directly from college. So that's how I got into Lintas. Yeah, that's how I started in the ad agency. But guess what? Our own ad agency was different because as illustrators, we used to dress in suits and tie. At Lintas.
At Lintas was they were top of the cream de la creme.
There you go.
Yeah, the advertising.
Yes, we thought we were fly. So then I went to England. At first, I went to England in 1980 that I mentioned to you before, courtesy of Nigerian Bursary Award, 600 Naira, as Edo State, it was the highest. And I spent that money in 1980 to go to England. Now, so but 1982, I started working at Lintas. I worked at Lintas for 2 years and I resigned, which was totally unheard of, that my artistic talent was not being utilized to the fullest. And I felt I would be stagnated. In Lintas in 1984, I started my magazine, Black Ivory.
Yes, I saw that, Black Ivory. So you started that from
1984.
84. Wow.
That's exactly 40 years ago. No, I started it in 1982. This started company. So by 1984, 2 years later, because I'll get home, I don't sleep. I will get home, I will do my illustrations. It was called Ancient Africa Illustrated.
Wow.
You see where my storytelling comes in. Because I was illustrating the stories of ancient Africa. It was totally unheard of in Nigeria.
Do you still have those?
I have the magazines.
Oh, those are your IP. Anyway, I'm sure you've got a lot of
Yes,
IP.
I have those magazines. Now
Yeah.
check this out. I started getting some of my seniors in Linters to contribute to my magazine.
Wow.
But I will pay. I will pay them. I didn't have much money, but I will pay. Because if they didn't want to do it, I'll say, I'll pay you, and they will do it. I'll give them a page to tell a story, like you're a storyteller, tell a story and do an illustration with it, right? So guess what? By 1984, I felt that I was wasting my time at Linters.
Okay, because you were, this
Because I had
was your
my own
passion.
magazine.
This was your passion. This was your passion.
Exactly.
Yes. Wow.
I had.
That is incredible.
So I had my magazine.
That's fantastic.
So guess what? Guess what? I launched the magazine with the Oba of Lagos and a whole lot of dignitaries. I was a kid, but you know, people, he loved me to death. I used to go visit him. So, and then I launched it, but then I left Nigeria for December 1984, 40 years ago, and left for the US.
So you jackpot?
Without a dime. Yes, without a dime in my pocket.
You were one of those Andrew. Was it Andrew that was at that time?
Yes, remember, you this woman, you're not, you are younger than you look. Your look is so young, one would think you're like 30 years old. So we were the first Andrew to leave. We were the first Andrew to leave. So I left, but I didn't have a dime. Now, the story gets interesting. I get to the US. I didn't have my friend that I used to talk to, my roommate in Nigeria in school, he took off.
Wow.
So I was at the airport for 11 hours. I didn't have anywhere to go.
Really?
And I didn't have time.
In America, yes. In the States?
In New York.
A lot of people have those kind of stories. A lot of.
And it was dead winter. It was dead winter.
So you were there, no money in your pockets?
So eventually I was like homeless for the first couple of days.
What?
Yeah. And then when I finally got a job as a security guard with 2 dogs, I still remember their name, Murphy and Princess. Huge Alsatian dog and Doberman Pinscher. And I was only able to do the job because of my belief in God. Trust me, because when I went for the job, the Nigerian guy that was supposed to put me through, there were not many Nigerians in New York then. This Nigerian guy he didn't show up.
What? So
the owner of the place, this white dude, heavyset white dude, he says to me, if you have any problem, then call the cops.
Call the cops?
And of course, I didn't have my papers, so I couldn't call the cops. Yes. And he got it. Before he got into his car, he said, let me introduce you, Princess. And I was happy. I thought some beautiful chicks were going to be working with me.
Meanwhile, you were meeting the dogs for the first time.
For the first time in my life. He went to the back and released the dogs. And it was a huge warehouse.
Why did he do that?
My sister, who cares about any stupid African?
So he just released the dogs, knowing that these dogs could be killers.
He released it. Yes, he released the dogs and told me that I have to feed the dogs. But you know, remember I told you I went to Catholic schools. That's why sometimes it's good to tell the whole story, because that's what
informs you,
the personality of the person. Yeah. Yes. So now check this out. When the dogs came charging, these are huge dogs.
My God.
All I could remember was Daniel in the lion's den.
Wow.
And I said to myself that if Daniel could survive the lion,
you will survive.
Survive the dogs. Yes, limousine. And told me, he told me to hold the dogs. I held the dogs by their chain. He drove out. I closed the gates. And then the dogs started looking at me, thinking, well, it's not Christmas yet.
What?
Yes. And then they started growling like they were about to pounce on me or something. Luckily for me, there was a little room, like 4 feet by 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I was making my way into the. As I got close to the door, I jumped into the room and closed the door. But the window was low. So the Doberman put his hands on the window and was stretching his head to my face like this.
Look at my mouth. Just dropped.
Now you want to hear a story now. So guess what? I survived the day, but they started fighting and I had to feed them. So eventually I had to go out, get their food and feed them. To do that, I had to act like I was bold and started talking to them. What's wrong with you? Come here, you sit over here. You go over there. And they were looking at me. They were stunned.
Yeah,
They were looking
that
at
you
me.
were bold. Yeah, because if you showed fear, they would feel.
Who's this guy? Now, check this out. In the US, Nigerians don't know that sometimes they train their dogs with black people. They make the black people punish the dogs. So anytime they see any black, they will attack.
Oh, wow.
Now, eventually you start understanding this world. These stories are long, but they're very important. Guess what? My friend who was supposed to put me through was killed within the first week. The Nigerian guy. His name was Tony. He got killed. Now, so just me. And I knew I couldn't stay too long there. So I started, it was from 5 o'clock in the evening to 5 o'clock in the morning. So after 5 o'clock in the morning, right, after 5 o'clock in the morning, I will start walking around the whole place. So guess what? I went and I decided I was going to go look for a job at Marvel Comics.
Wow, because you know something, I was going to say that if we keep going, we'd never get to some of my questions, but this is interesting. Go on then. Keep going. We'll get to film and technology.
Yes, I went to Manhattan and I went to see Marvel Comics. Luckily for me, the person that was there was the founder of Marvel Comics. He was the only one in the room and the place was dying out. So I showed him my drawings. He couldn't believe it. I told him I wanted to join him. He said they were stopping Marvel Comics and that they were trying to get into film. This is 1984.
Oh my God, history.
Yeah.
So you were there where they were the very beginning of them getting into film. What year was this? What year?
1984.
So Marvel got into film in the 80s, in the mid-80s.
Exactly.
Wow.
They went to strike a deal with Disney.
Yes.
And that's how. So, but he gave me an advice. He said, when he saw my drawings, he was blown away. He now said, I said I would like to join him. He said, would you like to listen to an advice? I said, yes. And Nigerians, there's no racism. My high school principal was Caucasian. So talking to a Caucasian was normal. So like talking to just anybody.
Yeah, it's not.
He now advised me. He said, your people need you.
Really?
He said, somebody with this talent should not come here. You should go to your people. I was wondering, who are my people? They were the African Americans in Harlem. I'd never been to Harlem before in my life. I was so disappointed that day when I took my portfolio. But that's how I eventually started a new version of my magazine in the US.
Wow.
And then I hadn't started film then. But my first film, if you check, my first film was in 1997 in Nigeria.
Back to Africa.
Yes. And first, I've been going around. I never officially studied film. I didn't go to school to study film. I went to do a master's in fine art. And then I met some guys making film and I started following them around. And that's how I got my first experience. My brother-in-law, who majored as a director in film, gave me all his books and I read all his books. That's how I started making films.
Incredible.
So, next question.
Next question is, so now I know that Nollywood, the inception of Hollywood was around somewhere I might be wrong or not, but I remember, I think it was somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah, it was late 90s.
Late
Yeah.
90s. When Nollywood started, you were in the States.
I
How
was
did
in the UK.
so you started, yeah? So you were like following these film people and learning to make
Right.
film. How did you
Yes.
get into start making film? Because your first film was in 1997, Back to Africa. So
Exactly.
how did you decide to make a film? And then how did you fund it? Because filmmaking is not a joke. It's
Exactly.
serious money.
Serious money. So check this out. Remember, I didn't have no sustenance. I didn't have anybody. I quit my job. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
So before I left Nigeria in 1976, I wrote my first script.
Okay.
When I was in college, called The Scroll. And I used to go hang out with Baba Ogunde, Chief Hubert Ogunde.
Oh, really?
Yes, I used to go hang out with him and his wife.
Where was Ogunde? He was in Lagos?
He was in Lagos, near Sabo, behind Sabo. I remember the name. I used to go.
Let me just pause you because I always try to explain to my listeners because they come from everywhere in the world. So Ogunde was was a foremost filmmaker. He was the first, wasn't he?
Foremost, yes, it was the foremost
filmmaker in Nigeria. He made incredible films with technology that's of the day, in those days, even special effects that we didn't know in the days.
Yes.
And he was a Yoruba filmmaker. So if you don't know Yoruba, Google it. I'm not going to.
Right.
But yeah, he was a filmmaker and a Yoruba filmmaker in Nigeria. Tony.
He was my mentor.
Imagine that. That is history. That is incredible.
He used to laugh at me because I was a kid. So I think I was 18 or 19. He said, this one wants to make film. I used to go and hang out with his wives. He had many wives. Yeah, and I hang out with him. I kept insisting I wanted to make film. So the way he stopped me was he said, to make a movie, you need 9 months out of school. And that's how.
To be in school. You were in school.
I was in school, in the university. So and I used to come from Ibadan to Lagos to see him.
That was a good one.
I was very serious. And so when I got discouraged, I said, okay, I'll still make films. So now fast forward to 1984. Before 1984, there's a Nigerian guy I will mention. His name is Obafemi Lasode.
Okay.
His father was very rich. His father owned the whole of Morocco. And Femi was studying in the US. I went for an interview. Just people always wanted to interview me in those days. That was my drawing.
You were Maverick.
So I went for an interview. Yeah. And I met Femi Lasode. So Femi took a liking to me and came to see me. He said he was moving back to Nigeria and his father was going to buy all the equipment.
Okay.
So Femi left.
All the equipment?
To be making movies.
Wow.
Femi left the US, packed his load, and came to Nigeria. And when he got to Nigeria, he would come and visit me in the US because he built a music studio and everybody, even AIT used to edit in the studio in those days. He would come with the music he has done. He will come to see me in the US and he will be showing me the music. And I used to criticize. I said, Femi, this music videos you people are doing, it's fake. The quality is low.
Yeah.
And he got angry and challenged me. He challenged me. He said, and he was the #1 guy in Nigeria there. He challenged me that if you are this is your mouth that you're making. If you're this good, you should come to Nigeria and make a movie.
So what year was this?
1997.
Wow.
So when he challenged me, I told him, hey, Femi, I can come. It's no big deal. I'll come. I was married then, still married to the same person. So guess what? I said to my wife, I said, Femi is challenging me that my wife is African American. We were managing ourselves, no money, but we struggled. My wife was a school teacher at the time. So Femi said, I said, okay, Femi, if you can introduce me to an investor, I will come.
Okay.
And Femi picked up his phone and called somebody by the name of Larry Talbot. Unfortunately, Larry has died now. He lived in the UK.
Okay.
So Talbot spoke to me and said, okay,
Your voice, your
why
voice
don't you come and see me there?
Okay, yeah, okay. It's back.
I got some ticket card to come to what's the name of that town? I remember. Come to the UK and come and see him. He wanted to speak to me, so I took the gamble, got credit card, and I went and saw him. He now says to me, he said, this movie you want to make, I have a son who's studying sound in the university. If you can guarantee me that you can take my son to Nigeria, make sure he's safe, I will give you 24,000 Canadian Dutch marks, Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
His son had never been to Nigeria before. He's a Nigerian. He loved entertainment. That's how he gave me, he went to the bank, he went and got 24,000 Canadian dollars and gave me cash. He said, when the time is right, you're going to take my son to Nigeria to shoot your film. I go to the US, I said, now I have the money, I got to go make a film. And here's the challenge from film. That's how I came to Nigeria, and I shot back to Africa. Came with an American DP, and we ran out of money. Everybody wanted to kill me. I was running around your place. I will be at the studio in my partner's place, and we'll be coming back from looking for money. I will see 100 people in front of the house, and we'll run away. We'll go and pass back.
Oh no, all wanting their money.
Yes, Wale Amele, all the top Nigerian stars will be waiting for me in the living room.
Oh no.
Wale Amele was known as Councillor Balogun because I cast all the top Nigerian actors, including Jab Adu and everybody.
Wow.
I had to find a way to pay everybody, which I eventually did. So my first film was very tough. That's how I released my first film.
So then you had American Dream.
Then in
like
2000,
10 years after that, I can see there's a 10-year gap.
The reason why there was a 10-year gap was my experience with Back to Africa.
Yeah.
No distribution.
So you shot it without,
I shot it
without sorting out distribution. You didn't think about marketing and distribution.
There were only about 3 Nigerian cinemas.
Wow. And there was no CDs.
Yeah, there was no CD waiting. It was VHS. So guess what? There was no cinema culture. We used to go from university to university, rent the equipment, do all that, and show to students. There was another person then, Zebe Jiru, who had done Domitila. It was the 2 of us.
I remember Domitila.
Yes, it was Zebe Jiru. He came out 1 year before me. I came out. So that's when Nollywood was starting.
Yes.
So after that, it was a disappointment, but at least I made my movie. People who watched it loved it. And then I took my master and I went back to the US.
And decided to earn some money.
And then check this out. I was the first Nigerian to make a movie in the US.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, the first. There were 2 other filmmakers that came right after me. Imlenchukwu Prospect in California made a movie called Tokumbo. And then Don Okolo made a movie called 419. In New York, there was a young guy called Bethes Agumo who made a movie, but it was poorly shot. He didn't spend money at all. Wow. But they didn't see it as a movie. Now, check this to charge my phone. Now, there was no distribution. Everything was dead. So check this out. I decided to start distribution.
Interesting.
So I put my movie, I convinced a theater in the US, and they gave me 1 cinema. and I put my movie in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
The first day, we did the premiere everywhere, it was packed. The first day of showing, there were only 2 people that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 people were there.
Really?
Yeah.
Only 2
For
people?
the week, only 2 people. For the week, total number of, and I was paying $1,000. I was paying $1,000 a day.
Wow. And
to rent the equipment.
Hmm.
Only 2 people showed up.
Filmmaking is not a joke. It's for bold people.
It's not talking with mouth.
No,
It's
true.
action.
Yeah, it's action.
Yes, it's action. So guess what? By the end of the week, I couldn't afford the cinema again.
Mm-hmm.
I was owing about $10,000.
Wow.
And in the US, you can't just project the movie by yourself in a cinema. You got to go, there are union laws. So you have to pay, you have to go get a union projectionist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was paying. Equipment was $1,000. I was paying the projectionist $250 a day.
Wow.
I ran a bill, and by the end of the week, I was there for 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. By the end of the 4 weeks, only about 12 people have seen my film.
So is it the film American Dream?
No, the film Back to Africa.
Oh, this is 1997.
Yes, I was telling you, you said there was a hiatus for 10 years.
Okay, so
why was that? So it's the 10 years I'm telling you now.
Is what all the things that happened.
From my first film in 97. Yes, from my first film in 97 to my next movie in 2006 was like 10 years. Guess what I was doing? I told you I was creating distribution. On the last day, when I had lost hope, and I was owing about $10,000, which I didn't have a dime, a friend of mine came from an organization called Afrocentrism Society. The African American.
How do you call it? What do you call it?
Afrocentrism, A-U-S-A-R.
A-U-S-A-R.
An Egyptian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asa or A-U or Set, A-U-S-E-T. Afrocentrism.
Asa or Set Society.
Yes. So there was a man who came from the Caribbean. He had 7 wives.
7
wives.
From the Caribbean?
Yes, he came from the Caribbean. But he had 7 wives in the US.
7 wives?
He observed 7. They observed Egyptian philosophy.
Okay.
So the US,
ahead of them.
In the US, Nigerians make me laugh. Guess what? My girlfriend, before I met my wife, he told me he's going to shock me. He came with 4 women to watch my film. They were the only ones in the hall on the last day when I was going to shoot it. They saw the movie.
$10,000.
I was owing about 10. Yeah. They saw the movie, and when they saw the movie, they were blown away. They said they would contact me by the weekend. By the weekend, they called me and said, how would you like to come and show this film at the Afrocentrism Society in Brooklyn, New York?
So your distribution,
yes, I don't have money for equipment. The distribution didn't start then, my sister.
Yeah, but it's a kind of distribution, isn't it? Because at least
trust me, it didn't start then at all.
Okay.
But the hearing story of distribution. So when I went there, I had 2 shows with 1,000 people per show.
Oh, and 1,000 people came to watch. Show. Wow. Yeah. So the society was that big.
Yeah, actually not per show. It was like 300 people, and I showed the movie 3 times in the first day, 3 times in the second day. So
they were able
Saturday
to rally. So this is the power of community. Power of
there
community.
you go. When you talk about Afrocentrism, which Nigerians have no clue. Nigerians have no clue. Nigerians just know to go to university, get a degree, and start shining and driving fancy car. Guess what? The Assault set came to my aid. At the end of the day, we said we would share the gate takings 50-50. It was that they called the place their temple. It was a major hall. And after that, they shared. We made about, I think we made about 1,000 something. They gave me $600, they took $600.
Wow.
I took my $600 and I went to print VHS tape. That was how I printed the VHS tapes. And then for 10 years, I was going from store to store in the whole of New York, New Jersey, Washington, D.C. I'll be driving in my small car at 2 a.m. in the morning, coming from Washington, D.C. I was alone. And that's how Back to Africa became famous. I would walk into a store with my board, my poster board with pictures. And I noticed that some African Americans would ask me, this is very interesting. I would go into the African shop, hair braiding in Harlem. They couldn't afford the rent, so they would share the room.
They have that in England still. Now.
About 6 of them would just take some little spot.
And
then I would come in and I would show them my poster board, huge board. And then the African Americans are the ones that were having their hair braided. And the Africans, mostly from Francophone Africa, were braiding. Then I would tell them, this is my movie, can you buy it? I was selling each VHS tape for $20.
And they'll be hungry for home film.
And I was the only one. There's no Nigerian on the planet. There's no African on the planet that was doing it. So guess what? I did it for 10 years. The African Americans will ask me, is this a good film? I say, yes, I think so. They'll say, if it's a good film, we're going to watch it on TV for free.
Oh, that is strange.
But the continental Africans will tell me, we don't have money. Can you leave the tapes and come back next week? I didn't have many tapes, but I took the risk. I'll drop the tapes, come back a week later, my money was waiting for me on the tape. That's how I started. Then, all of a sudden, I started going around. Then I noticed one young man. His name was Rabbi Muhammad in the Bronx. He was bootlegging all the movies.
Yes, there was a lot of piracy one day. Piracy started out,
He was the only one. There were no other people then. He was just the only one. He had a little small store. So when I went to him, we discussed that a while, and I decided, you know what? There's opportunity here. So I told Rabbi, and I called Bethel, the guy that I said did the movie that wasn't all that great. He was in Brooklyn. I said, let us form an association. So Bethel's now called a young lady by the name of Caroline, who liked watching Nigerian movies. Her background was McDonald's of America. She was the top secretary there. She came all the way from Washington, D.C. We all, 4 of us, sat in my apartment, and we formed Filmmakers Association of Nigeria, USA.
Wow.
And then the first call was to come to Nigeria to announce what we were going to do and create distribution. The guy who did the movie, we said all of us should donate some money so that we can go to Nigeria. Caroline and myself. Rabbi put up some money, I put up money, Caroline put up money, the other guy said he's not going to put up any money. was just three of us. So Caroline and I came to Nigeria and we met the whole of Nollywood.
Wow.
And then they said we should pay some money. Nollywood was just starting then. So I said, I'm not paying any money. If you people want your movies to be sold in the US, you're not funding it, you're not doing anything. You're telling us to. Caroline said we should put, eventually we dropped 10,000. And before you know what's happening, we brought 50 of the Nollywood people to the US in 2000. 50. I hosted 50 of them. 2005, we held the first copyright conference. US Department of Justice, Motion Picture Association of America, Nigerian Copyright Commission, Nigerian Department of Justice, on and on a 2-day conference, which was headed by.
Wait
a minute, some rubbish is going. Now check this out. When we had the copyright conference, everybody was there. The entire US was there. When we finished the copyright conference in 2 days, they agreed to support us to fight piracy of Nigerian creative art in the US. But guess what?
That's a tough fight.
They didn't lift a finger. My movie, Crazy Like a Fox, which was nominated for Best Film in the Hollywood Film Festival, was bootlegged. Not bootleg that they started selling my movie. Then we had turned to DVD. I convinced the Nigerians that we leaving VHS, we're going to DVD. For sake. It took me a long fight to get them to switch to DVD. They were doing video CDs.
And DVD became, every street hawker in Nigeria were able to copy the DVDs over and over again.
We started with the distribution through DVD. That gave Nigeria all the power because now we control the production, control the distribution, control everything. Now guess what? I'm giving you all these stories. So when you say you would know, you get the understanding of that one.
The history.
How it became international, and so on. Guess what? Now all of a sudden, the whole people were bootlegging our movies all over the place in the US. So I went to the US Brooklyn District Attorney myself, and I told them I needed support. They were laughing at me. They said, there's no Nigerian on the planet that will come into this our giant building voluntarily.
Really?
They said, no Nigerian on the planet will voluntarily enter our building. That's the number one criminal something. Now they will arrest you. By the time they ask you for all your papers, you're going to jail. I walked into that building. I met with 5 of their district attorneys. We had several meetings. And on my behest, they spent $2 million and conducted a raid all over New York City on Nollywood films. They made a big press conference, all the TV stations, everybody was there. That's how Nollywood became famous. When we brought 50 of them in 2004, the Nollywood people were just starting. Genevieve, Omotola, Akia. When they saw the reception and how the crowd wanted to mob them, they couldn't believe it. That was where they developed the confidence to know that Nollywood was huge. I took them to the New York Times office. We took them to the Washington Times office. We had a major ball, and the tickets were $100 each. And that's how Nollywood started.
Wow. So, yeah, go on. Go on. You're going to say something.
And the next question.
Oh, okay. So I'm now going to try and come to the present now because we have spent quite a bit of time in the past and it's been fascinating. I'm sure the audience have been keenly listening. It's nice because I don't think history, sometimes some aspects of history are not yet written. And this part of history, I don't think has been written. I don't know if there's been any history of Nollywood yet. But
No.
Nollywood is roughly close, getting close to 30 years.
Yes, about
So,
25, 26 years.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So 25, 26 years are so history has not been written. Even the new directors, the up and coming filmmakers might not know this history. And now they're hearing it from here. So of course, now we know there's a difference
Yes.
between the past and the present because now we have technology. Now we've had improvements in filmmaking, in shooting every aspect of film and music in Nigeria that is unprecedented. And we know that technology has played a role in that. So how have you been able to come from, because you're still making films, you
Yes.
made a film, how have you been able to come from how things were made in the past to pivoting to how things have been done, are done in the present? I'm interested in
Okay.
that and the technology aspect of it.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to tell you something very important. What is most important to me is not the film. What is most important to me is how Nigerians will survive. I told you that I'm Afrocentric.
Yes.
And Nigerians are really not Afrocentric. I spent years in the African American inner city with all the professors studying to understand why Nigeria is the only black country that can unify the whole blacks and create viable monetizational structure for black folks. Nigeria hasn't done it. Nigeria is thinking as an individual country. That's number one. Everybody in Nigeria is thinking as themselves. In most cases, it is a very self-centered thinking. When you are Afrocentric, you don't think as an individual. You don't think
collective
about yourself. It's not about, oh, I'm going to make the next movie, or I'm going to, no, it doesn't happen. So the only hope for Nigeria is not to look at film as art. It's fine to look at it as art. But there are 100 million languishing Nigerian youth that can never make film. How are they going to eat? That is my preoccupation from day one. I have a hashtag called 100 million languishing youth. I don't care about the individual filmmakers. I care about how 100 million Nigerian youth are going to eat and survive.
So what's your idea?
But I know that it is through film, through the creative industry, that it can survive, because it's the low-hanging fruit.
Okay, how?
So having said that, I will now, okay, now I will explain it to you.
Okay.
The only thing that Nigerians can do without major training is film, music, art, fashion, the creative industry. The training doesn't take too long. You don't have to go to university for 4 years.
Yeah.
So if Nigeria is smart from governmental level, they will take advantage. And I've been preaching it for 25 years until recently the federal government just gave it its due ministry, the Ministry of the Creative Economy. But they still don't understand how it will work. Everything now is still theory.
The Ministry of Creative Economy.
Yes, everything is. I noticed you interviewed.
Yes, I did.
Obi Asika is the DG. Is the DG of one aspect of the creative economy, which is the culture and the arts, which the movies and everything fall under. A great leader is a perfect fit So Obiasika has experience, a wealth of experience in music, in the music industry. He may not have it in the film industry, but he's familiar with it.
Yeah.
Now check this out. I'm going to come to that technology that you're talking about now. You have never heard this before, ever. And nobody has ever heard it. It's taken me 25 years to figure it out.
Okay.
From Silicon Valley in the US. Now check this out. When you talk about movies, as you said before, it's a lot of money to make a movie. The average movie in Nigeria now that goes to Netflix is a minimum 100 million.
Naira.
For 100 million, it's about $70,000.
Yeah.
You can't make a movie in the US for $70,000. But in Nigeria, that's a lot of money. 100 million. Only 20 people can do it out of 200 million. So you have Netflix, you have Amazon. They take the 20 movies, pay an average of between $100,000 and $200,000. And then those individual filmmakers start gloating that they just made a big movie and it's all over the world, being watched all over the world. You are only 20 of you. And I told you before, right now in Nigeria is self-centeredness. You think about yourself alone. You pull yourself by your own bootstraps. And that is the worst philosophy for Africa. That is the worst philosophy for Nigeria. So I've engaged, what I always do, I engage all the filmmakers. I know almost all of them personally.
Okay.
And I try to explain to them that, listen, you guys are doing a service because you employ 100 people each time you make a movie. But 100 people times 20 people is just 2,000 people.
Yeah.
There are 200 million Nigerians who cannot eat, who are starving to death.
Yeah.
And the government is overwhelmed. So what is the solution? The solution is technology. Now check this out. I'm going to reveal something here that I'm not supposed to reveal.
Reveal it. We want to hear. Okay, go on. I'm
going to reveal it. Ask you a question. Those of Nigerians in diaspora, you are one of them. What attracts the eyeballs and the earlobes of Nigerians in diaspora?
So do you want
It is the movies, the music. It is the movies and the music. Unfortunately, now Nollywood is dead.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
There was a time we had 5,000 films. Yes, it's dead. There was a time we have individual filmmakers, but the Nollywood is dead. There was a time when we had 5,000 producers. 5,000 under the what they call it, the guilds, the Producers Guild of Nigeria. 5,000 film producers were sustaining themselves and sustaining millions of people because of the DVD distribution. We control the production, we control the distribution, we control the monetization.
Yeah.
The minute the DVD died, all those people perished.
Yeah, because it's channel now, distribution.
Now the country is not. There you go. So the Africans are not smart enough to come up with a different thing. The Africans always wait for the white people to come up with something. Then they rush. So all the movies now go to YouTube.
Bottleneck.
For free. Yes. They go to YouTube, and if 1 million people watch your film on YouTube, YouTube will pay you $100.
Peanuts.
So now check this out.
Peanuts.
The other ones who can raise $1 million, people like myself, people like Muabudu, we shot movies for $1 million. Right? When you shoot a movie, Dr. Bello was $1 million. When you shoot with Hollywood actors and all that, it becomes extremely expensive, right? My intention of shooting Dr. Bello was to have mainstream American theatrical release, which nobody has. No African on the planet has it.
Dr. Bello.
When I shot Dr. Bello.
What year was it? I'm trying to see. Oh, Dr. Bello was 2012. 2012.
So, Isaiah Washington, Vivica Fox, Jimmy Jean-Louis, Genevieve Nnaji, on and superstars. It was the first African film to be given 20 mainstream American cinemas by AMC, the number one cinema chain on the planet.
Wow.
They gave me that opportunity. They asked me if my country understood the value. Because all we had to do was make 10 movies, do $20 million each. That's $200 million. We take it, bring it to Nigeria. We create our own channel. And then guess what? We fund the entire creative industry. When I got in, I came to Nigeria and begged for marketing funds. Nobody gave me a dime. So that died like that. Now, you have Nigerian filmmakers who are aspiring to have their movie in the Academy Awards, which of course is not the real Academy Awards. You're trying to get your movie into the language side of it, which is a slight way of accommodating people from other cultures and other countries. You can't monetize it in zero. So guess what? The Nigerians now are preoccupied with that. Maybe the 20, 25 people that are making movies. Or, luckily for them, one or two people invited Netflix to Nigeria.
I remember.
Tony Abulu was one of the first. Abudu was one of the first. Yeah. And Film One was one of the first.
Okay.
Netflix raised $12 billion to start that platform. And then we make our movies. They give us the standard. We make the movies on the standard, like the one I just did now, which cost me about 200 million naira, about $150,000. Guess what? Then we put it on Netflix. Yeah. But that is not the solution. That's the solution for 20 people and their families. What happens to the remaining 200 million Nigerians? Yeah. And that is the answer I'm going to give you now.
Okay.
Which nobody has heard.
Okay.
I've tried to discuss it with all the banks in Nigeria. They don't. So this is it. I asked you a question. I said, what attracts the eyeballs and the earlobes of Nigerians in diaspora? We both agree it's the Nollywood movies and the music. Afrobeat is number one in the world now.
It is, yeah.
Right? So how do you monetize it? The musicians are just like the filmmakers. The few ones who made money go and buy fancy cars and fancy houses. Nobody's thinking about the whole.
So they're not. It's not going back into the community
at all. Everybody just makes their own money and starts shining with their Rolls Royce and everything. So the intelligence is still very elementary. So guess what? How much do Nigerians in diaspora send as remittances to Nigeria every year?
That's the second time that this will come up on this podcast. That there's a huge amount of money coming from the diaspora back home.
About $27 billion a year.
My God.
We're number 5 in the whole world.
$1 billion go back to Nigeria from the diaspora.
But guess what? The Nigerians are not too smart. Because everybody sends their own money individually. So we don't make a dime. Do you know how much what we call the money transfer organization called IMTO, the International Money Transfer Organization, like Western Union and so on, do you know how much they make every year on Nigerians? About $3 billion US.
Because the
one that are the middle people. Now, when you talk to any Nigerian, they say yes, they are performing the service, they are great. I say, okay, have you ever gone to ask Western Union that you have a soccer or basketball team and you want to buy jerseys for the players, you need $5,000. What do you think they're going to tell you?
Get lost.
They'll say get lost. But they're making $3 billion, $1.something billion each on the sorry to say, on the dumb Nigerians. So guess what? How come there's no Nigerian in that market? We control the music, we control the eyeballs, we control the movies, we control the fashion, we control everything, but we do not control the monetization because we think as individuals. As individuals, we will die poor. Our people will starve, our country will become unstable, and so on and so forth. Because we are not smart. We are self-centered and think about ourselves alone.
Yeah.
Now, the federal government of Nigeria just raised $613 million US.
For what?
$113 US million. They said for the creative industry. They're having the meetings, they're getting themselves together. The whole group that's meeting, there's not a single filmmaker there. There's not a single musician there. So what do you think is going to happen? By the time they come up with the protocol, it's going to be flawed because there's nobody who has gone through the system and taken money and executed it and knows the structure. The only person that can know the structure are the people that are in the game themselves. But they are not invited in the gathering of the discussion. Long story short, somebody has to get the IMTO license. And that person, the IMTO license used to be about $30 million. But we have found a way to do it now. And I don't want to tell you the name of the person that has it now.
Okay.
That person that has it now may be the person talking to you now.
Okay. Nice
so
to
guess what? It took me 5 years of begging everybody in Nigeria, and nobody listening. But I know all the CEOs of all the banks. Know them for 7 years. I discussed with all of them for 7 years, and none could even understand what I was saying. But now, luckily, we don't need that amount of money for the transfers. And the bulk of the money, 80% of the money comes from the US, which is where I am. And I know from the president of the medical association, medical doctors, the nurses association, I can go and eat pounded yam and okra soup in their house.
Okay, so you've got that.
Yes, so we're going to launch that platform by March. And then we'll see then. Because we will now give out all the content for free, all the movies, all the music, all the fashion free to the diaspora. And all the diasporans have to do is to use the Nigerian-centered IMTO platform and see whether we don't take $1 billion and fund our creative.
Yeah, the money will go through.
So that's it now. So you were asking me about technology. The technology is not the technology of the making of the film. That one is easy. You get good camera, you use nice lenses, reflex, you put the lens, then guess what? Your editors have to have the software and they have to, like child's play. No, the Nigerians play themselves as if they are the greatest people on the planet. But guess what? It's child's play. You can easily make the movie. It's very easy. Where I have a problem with the Nigerian filmmakers, I love them to death. I'm their mentor. Where I have a problem with them is that the stories that they are telling are elementary. Because that's all they know. Boy meets girl. The mother of the boy doesn't like the girl. And there was a pastor that came and noticed something straight. That's it. If they don't tell that story, they will tell how they're enjoying in one part, and some people don't like themselves. Now, the latest one now, in the rave now, is the Yoruba filmmakers who have taken over completely. If you make a movie in Nigeria now and it's not a Yoruba film, with the Yoruba actors, you will not make it dime. You're not going to make it dime. You know why? Because the Igbos, I'm always very honest, for us to get to the bottom of it, we will say the truth. The Igbos don't watch film.
Really?
They don't watch any film. The Nigerian cinemas, we have 90 now. The Igbos, when we check all the returns, is 0.001%. The people that watch him are the Yoruba.
Okay, so the what you said is that they don't go out to watch films. They might watch in
They
their
don't go out to
homes.
watch anything.
They'll go,
And
they
film
might watch
now
in
is
their homes.
5,000. They will watch YouTube for free.
Okay.
But they will never go to the cinema. The only people that go to cinema are the Yoruba in far places like Osogbo, Ibadan. They are number one. Then the other thing now is this: it's not the content of the film. It is the actors that have to go and dance in those locations.
Okay, so say come and watch our film. Come and watch our film.
If they don't do it, the film makes zero money.
Okay.
So is that how we're going to survive
marketing?
As a film? So you understand?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
So when we like
for me, at my age now, I'm almost 70. It's unfortunate that two things, because Netflix pay other people $10 million per film. They pay $5 million per film. Why is it that they pay Nigerians $100,000 and we're dancing? You know why? Because they say our films are limited to the audience. One or two films, they watch it for a week and they say, and the Nigerians start shouting, I'm number one on Netflix, I'm number one. Bottom line, can you be number one for 2 years?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? So, you know,
retention. So, and that's based on the story. When you tell a story, all the stories that are being told now are historical films. Jagu, when they were fighting in this, Elizabeth, when they were fighting the people in this, very good stories that elucidate culture. But it's one person's culture, it's the Yoruba culture. So they know how to tell it. They're experts in it, and they are doing a fantastic job of it. The stories are well told. The picture quality is first class. The sound quality is first class. But you will get $200,000. You will not get $2 million.
We need diversity in storytelling.
Yes, and they cannot tell the story because of their contemporary culture and religion. That's the handicap. The handicap is their when I made Dr. Bello. What's Dr. Bello about? It's about a Nigerian medical doctor who went after college, went into the mountains in Ekiti, in Ivory, and found himself in the US and had the ability to communicate with plants.
Wow, I like that.
Now, guess what? The Nigerians did not want to watch it.
Really?
They said it was fetish. That how can somebody be communicating with plants that is not in the Bible to be able to communicate with plants? So when I talk about the elementariness of the brain, if you make high-end quality film, the Nigerians won't watch it because they will not understand it. Let me give you another example. Can you make a movie about some old Nigerian women in the village? They communicate in the evening, and they chant heavily, and they open a portal outside the earth, and a female extraterrestrial comes in. You think any Nigerian will watch it? But the Americans will watch it.
Yeah.
Our trump card is in our traditional understanding. It's not this contemporary thing where everybody wants to think they're African American. Traditional. My grandmother is the queen of it. When she told us the story at the age of 4, the story of Ojogbuelimi, the queen of all spirits, that used to come out into the marketplace once a week, and 20 of her cohorts are moving in front singing. And when she gets to the market, anybody that doesn't listen and goes to the market on that day will be swallowed whole by the creature. And then a lady who sent her child to the market, her child was swallowed. And the woman decided to face Ojogbuelimi. And she put knives all around her waist and allowed Oluwalemi to swallow her. And she cut herself out. Will Nigerians watch it?
But there's a lot of
my grandmother told me that story when I was.
Yeah, but there's a lot of almost fantasy, mix of fantasy, sci-fi. There's a lot of there's a lot of Nigerians writing that, and it's very well received. And those will probably be made into movies. Tomi Adeyemi, Children of.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And there's quite a few Nigerians that are in that
genre.
In that genre. But I'm trying to remember, there's actually a particular name for it. I don't know if it's.
Now, let me shock you now. It's one thing to write stories and another thing to make the film.
No, what I'm saying is that some of them are options. So some go on screen. Because we said it is
option. Wait now, option by who?
No, option. Yeah, it's not option in Nigeria. It's option.
So who makes the money then? So it is Elba that's coming to do Okonkwo now.
Go on.
And the other Nigerian actor. Who is going to make the money? The story. We have the stories well, but will our people watch the story? So those guys who went to option it outside Nigeria think they're stupid. They know that the Nigerians are not going to watch it because the Nigerians are born again Christians. So the religion is actually the albatross to progress, because the religion is not even investigated at all. Me that I'm talking, I'm a staunch Christian, but guess what? It's fake. They regurgitate what they read in a book, and they have never researched what part of it is right, what part of it is wrong. For Dr. Bello, for instance, if I tell you the person that told me that they cannot watch it, and they banned it in the medical society, because all those people belong to a particular Christian denomination.
Where is it now? I'd love to watch it.
Dr. Bello, he did 2 years in Netflix. I think it's going very soon. It's going to go to, what do you call it? It's going to go to.
Would he go to YouTube?
It will go to what's the next one? I've forgotten the name. I remember now.
No, Amazon?
So, yes, Amazon, most likely.
So, but has it left Netflix? Is it still on Netflix?
And trust me, in the US, I did over 40 Zoom meetings with universities all over the place. So asking me a billion questions about that film.
I need to ask because we've really gone over time and I've enjoyed every minute, but I still have some questions to ask. Okay. So with all of what you said now, what is the future for young filmmakers? And that is particularly for those from Africa and in the diaspora, because you have young Africans who have grown up in the diaspora but identify very well with back home, even though they grew up in the diaspora. And you still have young Africans there. So we have a big young population.
Right.
And they have connection. They've got real link to technology, but they don't control the channels. They use it. They create the content. What is the future for them?
So what's the hope you ask me? When you ask me, you're asking me what's the hope?
What's the hope? What's the future for them?
My answer is there's none.
No hope.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
No hope. There's none. Let me tell you why. When I talk in terms of numbers, I don't talk about 5 people that will make film. There are 5 people whose parents have money. They will come to Nigeria, they beg their father for $100,000, and where the parents have that money is even suspect. They get that money, they make Nigerian film, and they go to Netflix and they pay them $200,000. Who have those ones? We will always have those, and the numbers will increase little by little. Those are not the people that I care about. I care about the 1,000 Nigerian young people that want to make film, that have the experience. The only hope is if there's a funding source. There's a law in the Nigerian banking sector.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to borrow 100,000, you have to come with a collateral that's 3 times the size, $300,000.
Almost no.
So which young person is going to go get 300,000? They have to put their father's house as collateral.
Yeah.
All the people making movies, they put their houses down as collateral. So is that how to make film? So the government itself,
a government funding stream that would allow, because like the French have art house film, which don't really, they don't, but they're, when I watch some French films, I can see where that money has gone through because it's so robust. The stories, everything, because they've developed over time, because they've not thought about the money, they've thought about making a good movie.
Let me shock you, Stella. The French used to give Francophone African filmmakers like Adama Drabo, all of them are my friends, because they all usually come to New York.
Yeah.
They give them $500,000 to make one film. Free. Nigerian bank will tell you there's no free. It's a loan.
Yeah,
and they know.
There needs to be support, because that's support for the arts. Because look at Nigerians have come on the scene because of the art. It's not because of the middle class. It's because of all sector of the creators are the one that put Nigerians on the map. So they need to be supported.
If I was talking to the president of Nigeria now, who I used to know a long time ago, if I was talking to him now, I will say, he would tell me, he would say, "Hey, Tony, I just put $600 million for the creative industry." That's what he's going to say to me. And I'm going to clap and say, "Thank you, sir. It's great. But when do we see the money? How do we see the money? How do you plan to share the money? How do you plan to share the money?" So you see, I have decided it's going to be very tough for me, but I'm going to fund the industry myself with the method that I just told you.
Get people together. I think that's the way.
So because I know exactly what to fund, I know exactly how to do it. They will make the movies and they don't have to repay the money. All they have to do is make the film. Then you will see creativity come out.
Yes, because
and I've already built the platform. I'm not saying I'm going to. I've already built it. It took me 7 years to build Blaze Channel. www.blazechannel.com. Go check it. All the movies are there. Everything.
Music is there. Can you spell it? www.
Blaze like for fire.
Okay, Blaze.
BLAZ.
Blaze Channel.
Channel, and it's one word. BlazeChannel.com. Go check it.
Okay. So,
so I don't wait.
So that's technology. See what I was asking you about technology, how technology comes. So when you said it took you 7 years
to build it.
So you had developers, you had everything, you had to
not anywhere around where you think it will be. Because if I was going to make it in the US, it would cost me over $20 million.
No, I know where I've got a tech background, so I know where the developers come from.
There you go. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. a lot of big tech use developers from elsewhere.
There you go. So it's built. So the next thing, once I launch the Blaze Money with my partners now, then we fund the filmmakers, they make the movies, they put it on the platform, just like YouTube. They don't have to worry about monetization at all. They don't have to worry about distribution. I'll do all that distribution myself in the US. So the technology has afforded the opportunity. The US has afforded the opportunity for the license so that you don't have to get that $40 million to get the license. Okay. That was the handicap before. Now, $1 million, $2 million, you get the license. And so it's no big deal. So we work. All I believe is this. I purposely told you my story from the beginning so that you understand what inspires me. It's not the art. I've been doing the art forever. I can tell all the best stories on the planet. My next movie is Afterlife. That's the title. What happens when you are dead? What happens when you are dead? I'm telling the story in the film. The Nigerians won't watch it because they will faint. But Nigerians they will run for their lives because their minds their minds are very. It's unfortunate because we never used to be like that. But the Nigerians of today, they are very brilliant, no doubt about it. They can regurgitate anything they studied in any school. They can regurgitate every line in the Bible, but they fear too much. Their mind is fickle. And that's what we have to change. And to change it, we have to challenge their beliefs and show them point blank. I used to tell everybody before about this issue of tithe. That is, it's not the way they want to kill me. Guess what? The king of the tithe just announced yesterday or today that he made a mistake telling them that they can't go to heaven if they don't tithe.
Okay, the tithing.
See how long it took. See how long it took for me to be lecturing them, to be talking. Or my friends wanted to kill me because they said I'm from the devil, that I'm possessed by the devil. So the Africans, they are not very. I'm trying not to use negative words. They're very. You see, when you're Afrocentric, you investigate everything.
Yeah, let's just leave it, and at least we have talents that are developing from different parts. It's obvious when you look at social media, it's a good way, a gateway to seeing what is out there and what people are doing and in their different industries. So there's still, I believe, I'm a very positive person, that there's hope and there'll be someone to lead, just as you are leading now. There'll be someone who has ideas and innovation and who can make that difference that you want as well. So you are doing what you're doing, and kudos to you. I'm looking forward to going to Blaze Channel and being part of that community. So I want to ask about.
Yes. By the way, let me say this. I want to quickly say this. My brother, top AI filmmaker in Africa, my younger brother,
who's
an engineer. He's coming out with it. Yeah, his name is Engineer Andy Abulu. Andrew Abulu, but he says Andy. If you Google him, you'll see he's coming out with a movie in the next 4 weeks. He has written the book.
Would he be interested in coming to talk to us?
I doubt it. My brother doesn't talk to anybody now because it's very private. He's making a movie. He's been making an AI movie for the past 1.5 years. So the title of the movie is
The Monkey Parabola.
Yes, Monki, The Monkey Parabola. Now, if the Nigerians can't watch my film, they cannot watch his own film.
Yeah, it sounds. So what is it?
It is from the time of the Nephilim and their existence on the planet, and their influences in human today.
I would love to watch that.
Those are the They're not the Nigerian.
Those are the kind of things that interest me, because the Nephilims pop up now and then, and it's but they're here, so they're it's just like
okay. For instance, if you start a topic of the Anunnaki in Nigeria, everybody will run away.
What's the what?
The
Anunnaki. What is that?
You are the one that wants to
spell it.
A-double-N for Nancy. A-double-N-U-N-A-K-I.
Okay.
That is a whole different world, because that's where the world is going now. When you Google the Anunnaki, then you will now say, we never start for Africa. Those movies we are telling are so elementary. That's why they're not paying us money. You understand? My brother is doing a movie that involves the Nephilim and the Anunnaki.
Okay. And which channel is it going to go to?
Most likely, we're thinking about it. Okay. Because my brother accused a lot of different major institutions in the world. So they might hate his guts.
Okay. Anyway, when it comes out, let me know. I'm interested.
Okay. His book is out. His book is out in Amazon.
Okay, what's the name of the book? Because
The Monkey Parabola. The Monkey
Parabola. Okay. So the monkey. Okay, I will go and look for the book. I'll get it. Maybe I can entice him to come and talk to us. Who knows?
My brother knows to come. He doesn't say nothing to anybody. He's just doing it for posterity and but he believes that even though our people are not ready for stuff like that, he will do it anyway. Because the children are watching the stuff that the Nigerian children are watching, their parents don't even have a clue. You understand? But the kids are going to get up. They don't have that element of fear.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That's why I said when you were saying that there's no hope, I believe that there's a lot of hope. Because
there's no money. I'm not saying there's no talent. There's no hope because there's no money.
There'll be money. There'll be someone, a maverick somewhere that will make money. So the money will come from somewhere.
You mean like Stella that's going to bring the money?
But think about it.
From
If
London.
everybody's doing a little at a time, what did you say about community? What did you say about community and collaboration? If everybody is doing their own thing, I'm doing my own thing here. I believe I'm a British Nigerian woman who has a technology background, is very strong and creates background in technology and creativity. And I decided to use that for this platform. So if everybody is doing their own thing, something will...
Yes. That's very commendable. Let me tell you the difference between... Well, yeah. Let me tell you the difference between the Americans and the Africans.
Yeah.
YouTube and Facebook people. So, in other words, the kind of money that we need to do stuff, we can't find it. We can have money to individually make products, but we cannot distribute those products. So, until our government that says they have 613 million US dollars are told exactly what to do with the money, because they don't have a clue what to do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
If they are told what to do, that 600 million can cut up, because Nigeria has all the other elements that are necessary in what we call the digital M4.
And
make, manage, market, and monetize the digital M4. All we do is make.
Mm-hmm.
And we can consume the content as long as it's not against our religious upbringing. Mm-hmm. Very funny. So anyway, any other question?
How do you okay, no, ask you, what's your hobby? What's the hobby you have that gives you joy? That is not work, just a hobby that you love.
I don't have any hobby. I don't have any hobby at all. All I do is I go and sit down in Central Park in New York, just next to my house.
Okay.
And I'm watching. And then one other thing, because that's why I live in Manhattan. I stroll down the avenue.
Okay.
When I stroll down the avenue, I get inspiration. Okay. I see what Russians are doing. I see what the Chinese are doing. I see what, and then that's what makes me realize that this battle we are battling is not what we are doing. Our government is the only institution, unless maybe Dangote decides that, you know what, I have $24 billion. Maybe I'll put $1 billion in this creative industry.
That's what I'm saying, that we shouldn't lose hope. You never know.
He said he doesn't get involved in entertainment that is against his religion. So
he's already doing oil. Leave him. Let's leave Dangote for now. And somebody else.
So unless we can find somebody else, and I don't trust me, I know most of the rich people in Lagos, and I know that they don't even watch film. Do you know that in VI? Let me shock you. Do you know that in VI? Do you know that in VI, Victoria Island? That's where all the rich Nigerians are. The Koyi, you name it, right? Yeah. They don't watch films. They don't go to the cinema. Yeah. So those are the people you're expecting to go to come and fund your film.
We'll see.
The institution that is helping, there's an institution that's helping, and it's Bank of Industry. See, Bank of Industry, the CEO that is there is a very astute guy. Okay. He's a very astute guy.
What did you call it? The bank?
The CEO.
What do you call it? What did you call it?
Industry.
The bank
of Industry.
Bank of Industry. And that's in Nigeria, yeah?
Right. That's Nigeria. Is the only government bank. The government has about 30-something% of its shares. So that Bank of Industry has the wherewithal to save the Nigerian creative industry.
Okay.
So it's not an individual. There's no individual that's going to do nothing.
Yeah.
The Bank of Industry, and I'm very familiar with all of them. I know the CEO. The bottom line is, if we begin to tackle from the point of view that we don't fake ourselves to say one rich Nigerian guy is going to come and do it. There's no rich Nigerian guy that will do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It is the bank. The government has to be able to say, listen, you see that issue of collateral, wipe it. Here is $100 million.
Okay, to back it.
Fund the industry.
Okay.
Let the creativity
So the government will be able to revitalize the industry. So what?
There you go.
How do you balance? How do you have your work-life balance? What do you do to balance?
I don't have any life. I don't have life. I just have work. Because
they have talked to, they say they don't have life, they work.
Yes, now, because that's what, if I'm saying I want to go on a vacation, what's going to happen to the 100 million languishing youth? I want to take my eyes away from the thing for 1 second. I can't, because I know I've been in this game for 30 years. I know what is possible, what is feasible, and what is not feasible. I can chart the map of anywhere anybody's going. I can chart where the so-called global filmmakers are going. I can chart where Netflix is going. The next you're going to hear that Netflix is out of Nigeria.
Okay, so
that's the next you're going to hear. Okay, and once that happens, what happens?
Okay, before we end this very long, the longest podcast I've ever listened to, and I don't know if people will get to the end of it. The longest podcast I've ever recorded is this one. Before we get to the end of it, the question I want to ask is, what do you see? Because you said you can chart what
I can chart them. Yes, I can chart.
So what do you see as the future of the industry?
The country next 10 years.
I don't want to even think about the country. I want to think about the industry.
Okay, so ask me your question.
That's what I've asked you. What do you think is the future? What direction is the industry going to? What do you see? You can see Netflix in Nigeria. You say you can see Netflix in Nigeria.
It is very clear. Look at Amazon just left. The reason is this. These are businesses in the US that have invested billions of dollars. Your fee in Nigeria is 5,000 naira. What is 5,000 naira in dollars? Netflix in the US is $14 per subscription. They are charging 5,000 naira. How long? 5,000 naira is like $2 or $3, like $3.50. How long do you think they're going to be charging that much? And their business will succeed. So they will get out of there before you blink. That's why the window that we have a window like 2 years. If we lose it, then we will become Sarajevo. We will be looking at ourselves in the face. There will be no creativity. Everything will die, just like the Nollywood died. You understand? So the government is the only hope, because they are the ones with the funding. If they do not wake up to their mandates, their people are going to die. I am in the US. I'm going to go sit down for Central Park. If they do not, there's a point where an individual can do and undo. I've been in this industry 30 years. I know what everybody has done and what some people have not done. I can tell you, each individual you mentioned, I can tell you their story. Bottom line, not one of them can smell to fund this industry. Because you can't fund the industry by the content. You have to fund the industry. It is not what the art is worth. It's what the art can sell. And the Nigerians haven't understood it at all. They're concentrating on the art. The art is zero. It is not what the art is worth. It's what the art can sell. And the Nigerians don't even come close to the ballpark of even understanding what I'm saying. And if the government doesn't act fast, thank God they said they have $600 million. I'm watching them. Where are you going to put that 600 million, my brother? I'm watching. So the question you ask is a very fundamental question. It's a very important question, and we have to be honest. The whole creative industry will die if the government does not, and it will be a pity, because Nigeria is #1 in the world in terms of creativity. But if our government plays that, what would I call it? That kid glove elementary involvement, then prepare yourself for American Jackpot 2. My movie is American Jackpot.
Yeah.
There will be American Jackpot for real. So if you people can talk to your government, start talking to your government and tell them what I said. If I'm dead today, if you're going to take anything from me, trust me, there's nobody that has 20% of the experience I have in this game. If you get else from me, take this worth. It is what the art can sell. Okay.
So, how do people connect with you? Do you want anybody to connect with you? Because you connected. You made a comment on my fledgling YouTube channel. You were able to find my podcast, and you made a comment.
Sorry? I saw your seriousness. That I normally don't comment, but I saw your interview with Obi, and I saw your enthusiasm. I saw your seriousness. So I made a comment. We have the skill, we have the people, but what we don't have is the coordination. So the coordination, if we do not, and it's not that we cannot get, it's just that nobody knows the information. So everybody is guessing. And in Nigeria, the people act like everybody wants to shine. So everybody starts to talk like they're big shot. Meanwhile, they don't have the slightest clue of what they're getting themselves into. So for me, I think that if people want to get in contact with me, I'm on Facebook. Tony Abulu, you see it on Facebook. I already have 5,000 friends there anyway. But
so I can't be your friend, eh?
If you apply, maybe I still have 2 more spaces. But
if I apply,
don't they apply on Facebook? You have to apply on. So what I'm saying is this: trust me, I may be sounding like a megalomaniac. I'm not. I'm almost 70 years old, so I don't have time for rubbish. And I've been in this game a long time, 40 years. And I've suffered. I've taken the Nollywood to where I can take it. I've funded them. I've carried them. I've created distribution for them in the US. I've done copyright conference. I've done everything. But what is missing, that someone with my experience is telling you, is the funding. The funding for coordinated distribution. Nobody can do it. Yeah. The Nigerians believe they have to go beg Oyibo. It is an innate thing in our brain. We believe we have to beg Oyibo. And so, by that meaning, we are neo-colonized. We are slaves for life if we don't create our own thing. And it's very difficult for our people to create their own thing because they don't believe in themselves that they can do it. And the ones who believe they can do it, they cannot smell the funding. That's where the dilemma is. If the government, if I have the opportunity to speak to them, I used to know, as a matter of fact, I know them. The Minister of Finance is my friend. I know all of them. But the bottom line is this: will they listen? They have put a team together for $613 million. They have not invited one single filmmaker. They have not invited one single musician. What do you think was going on? So in other words, they don't get a far. Meanwhile, they don't get nothing. It's zero. So if somebody asks me what's the hope, I say there's no hope. Because, not because there's no talent. I didn't say there's no talent. There's talent. But there's no hope because the institution that's supposed to have the vision, that's supposed to be totally serious and to drive this thing, they are not serious. They are not, because I know them and I've engaged them for years. They are not serious. There are 1 or 2 of them that are serious, that I know personally. Guess what? I'm waiting. The day I used to, like I said, I used to know the president way back. But when I was publishing my magazine, Nigerian president, they called me and offered me $2 million to go and battle
which president? Which president was that? Which one of the presidents?
Huh? Because I had the #1 Pan-African magazine in the US. They approached me with $2 million and told me to face Nadeco in the US. Anywhere they go about to them, I told them, no, I didn't take the money. And I didn't have a dime there. And the head of Nadeco is your president now. I used to know him when I used to go to his office about 30 years ago in Lagos. So, but you cannot get the opportunity to sit with the guy and say, listen, you people are trying, but you are missing the road, especially when it comes to the creative industry. You need experience where the tire meets the road. You don't have it. You have filmmakers, you have actors. You always invite the actors, don't produce film. When you call the filmmakers, the producers, they're not distributors. They don't know how to distribute any film. They don't know how to create any platform. So you lost.
Yeah.
So my sister, we spent a lot of time.
Yeah, you've expressed yourself.
All I would say, I wish all of you luck. Me, I'm winding down. I'll soon go and start hanging out in Central Park.
You with your platform, Blaze Channel, you have no winding down to do. There's still work for you to do.
Guess what? I have two daughters. My daughters are experts in digital monetization.
Fantastic. That's good.
They are the ones that are running that Blaze Channel.
Okay.
At the certain point, but the Blaze Channel itself can't do it. Because the Blaze Channel, to monetize Blaze Channel, maybe you're going to be charging people $5. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
That is not the purpose of the Blaze Channel. The purpose of the Blaze Channel is to attract the eyeballs and the earlobes of Nigerians in diaspora so that you can monetize to the remittance.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be watching, the audience, they know now. They'll try to find you as I found you online. You have taken me, it's incredible. It's been a fantastic journey, taking me back to the history of the inception and the history of Nollywood. So much story, so much history, so much nostalgia behind it. And I'm looking forward to going to find your brother's book and looking forward to the film that will be using. Yeah. So thank you so much, Tony, for talking to me. I really appreciate it, taking the time to talk with me. And I hope we're to the end. So if you were listening to the podcast and you got to the end, kudos to you. Don't worry, I'll soon be giving out gifts to people that stay all the way to the end. So this is a fantastic chat. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it.
You are.